see that a lot in our classroom, the hitting and the screaming, and you have so many conflicts that you don't know what to do with, right? Yeah, it's a pretty common occurrence because of the way we place children these days. However, conscious discipline will provide a blueprint for helping the adults incorporate a safe and connection in their work life with the children. And the reason, I know a lot of you have done I love you rituals in your classroom, and the reason that we started those I love you rituals is to make that connection with the children, because if you're making that connection with the child, they feel safe. And I know, Letitia, you started the school family thing, right? I'm sorry I'm throwing you under the bus this morning. I forgot to tell you I was going to do this. But you started the school family in your classroom, and you did the jobs, and you put the calendar up and the safe place up, and incorporated that stuff in your classroom. Do you want to explain to your co-workers how long it took for us to get that established in your room? And it's still a work in progress, yes, but she's doing it, so it can be done. She's got toddlers. Do you want to? That's a tough room. She has a very tough room. She's potty training everything. Do you want to come up here?
Yeah, all boys.
She does. She has all boys in her classroom. And there was a lot of fighting and hitting and all kinds of stuff going on. And so we implemented, have you got your fishbowl up yet? She's working on getting a fishbowl for kindness. And every time they do a kind act, she puts a fish in the fishbowl.
Yeah, you gave me that.
And so instead of a clip chart, because children at this age have no concept of what a clip chart is, it's a negative. We're kind of punishing our children and don't even know we're punishing them. I'll give you an example. And it just happened this week in my life. Trevor came, he's in junior high now. So he came home from school on Wednesday, and I said, "How was school?" "Okay." I said, "Well, what does okay mean?" And then I could tell he was about ready to have a meltdown. I said, "What's wrong?" He goes, "I just don't think I can do this. You got to have your planner here. You got to have your planner. If you don't take it here, you get a detention. If you don't bring this, you get a detention. And if you don't do this, you get a detention. And you get a detention for this. I just don't think I can do this." Well, they had their orientation, and in the orientation they try to scare them into saying if they don't turn this in, you get a detention. If you don't do this, you get a detention. So I asked him, I said, "Trevor, have you ever had a detention before?" "No." I said, "Have you ever been late before?" "No." "Have you turned in your assignments?" "Yeah." He goes, "But what if I don't? I get a detention." So they were using the scare tactic to scare these middle schoolers into thinking if they don't follow into the rules right away, then they'd be in detention. Which I finally eased it over with him. I said, "Trevor, you've never had a detention before. Everything's going to be fine. It's just like it was in elementary school, except you're responsible for yourself now versus the teachers being on top of you." So we do it in our everyday society and don't even realize we're doing it. And that's what we want to get away from is fear-based punishment. And the grade schools right now are really bad about using fear-based punishment. And it's not doing anything to our children except sending them down into their brainstem. So that's why we're here today. We're going to bring them up out of that, and you guys are going to go out and teach and help make these children be good children. Conscious Discipline is a comprehensive classroom management program which uses social and emotional curriculum, and it's based on current brain development. And the only person that can change first is you guys. You guys have to make that transformational change in your life and change one thing, just one thing at a time. But once you change one thing, you can change it in your classrooms. But it starts with you. It's just like I tell Trevor from the day he was little bitty. He gets mad over itty bitty small things all the time. And the only one that's getting mad is him. That person that's calling you that name isn't making you mad. You're getting mad because of that name. So the only person getting mad is you. Conscious discipline is about transformative change, which we just talked a little bit about. It's asking the adults to see the misbehavior as a call for help bring them to the time machine and have them step up. They breathe like a star. First they have to be willing, so they got to be up out of their brainstem into their emotional state. And then they step up and they breathe. You put your hands over your heart and you wish each other well. They look at the kid in the eye. And then they look at each other and say, 1, 2, 3, let's do it. And then they come up here, and then whatever this child says, I don't like it when you hit me, please ask me for the toy next time. And this one will say, okay, I can do it. And then they do some kind of like, I love you ritual and go and do it. And I have the little thumbprint one. And if you guys don't have one and would like one, just let me know and I can get April some. She can. Connection is powerful motivator. That's why we like to do the I love you rituals, to get that connection with the child. Because a lot of times at home they don't get that connection, that empathy that they need from their parents, as busy as we are in our lifestyle these days. So that connection is what the I love you rituals do. Understand that the only person we can truly make change is ourselves. And understand that independence is the basis for the problem solving. And the internal state dictates your behavior. So however you feel inside is how you're going to behave. We do a lot of feeling buddies curriculum, I do when I go into classrooms. And if you have that grumpy look on your face, I'm sure you're probably feeling grumpy that day. And the kids are going to pick up on that. So we need to leave everything outside the door before we and understand what you focus on, you get more of. Just like those power struggles with those 2 kids that just got suspended last week and they've only been in school a week. Those teachers got into a power struggle with them over something small, and it ended up with them getting expelled. Here's the 7 skills: composure, encouragement, assertiveness, choices, empathy, positive intent, and consequences. And we're going to focus a whole lot on composure today, because the more you can compose yourself, the more you can compose your children in your classroom and make it a school environment for them. This chart is in your handouts. I'm not sure what page it's on, but it just explains, it breaks the skills down. I'm not going to go through them all with you today, but you can go ahead and look at them in your chart. You've only got 4 hours. So, and if you have any questions on it, you can always meet, or April comes along. This is the pyramid. It starts with the brain state model, which we're going to focus on today, which is the brainstem, the limbic system, and the prefrontal lobe. And then it moves up into the 7 powers. And you move up into the connecting with the family, and then the 7 skills. This is transitional discipline versus conscious discipline. And this is the old system that's in all the schools right now that are not working with the clip charts. First warning, they move down. Second warning, they do this. Because it's pushing those children into fear or surrender. So with conscious discipline, we give them choices. We have a safe place that they can go to anytime they need to. For children that need more help, we can put them on the behavior plan, an IEP with the school district and Compass and whoever they work with, Russell. And then we use logical consequences, because you're actually learning something from logical consequences versus a clip chart. And I'm going to use Trevor a lot as examples, because Tig, when he was little, he's been raised with conscious discipline. And, I call him Tigger. We've called him Tigger since he was little, so if I call him Tigger, that's fine. When he was in preschool, we just moved down here, and I was teaching in Spearville in the interrelated classroom. And he was in preschool, and they did a clip chart with hearts in preschool. Well, this teacher, they were doing, I don't know what they were doing for sure, but anyway, she said she's going to move all their hearts down. And so she moved them all down, and all the kids automatically started crying in the classroom and listening to the teachers, except for Tigger. He kept doing what he was doing. So I got called into the principal's office, and I thought at this time, oh, it's just, they're going to call me down there because there's a child in the special ed room that needs help, and I need to go help resolve this conflict. And I get down there, and Trevor's sitting there with his teacher and the principal, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Well, he didn't want to tell she goes, I moved all the hearts down, and everybody in the classroom started crying and listening to what I wanted them to do, except for your son. And he goes, do you want to tell him what you said? And Trevor shook his head. I said, what did he say? He goes, I don't care about that damn heart. It's just a piece of paper. Because Trevor had always been raised, with conscious discipline, so you're not gonna shame me into behaving. And she shamed all those children into behaving except for Trevor. Trevor was gonna do whatever he wanted to because he wasn't gonna be shamed into behaving. And so I kind of get it for it. So, but that's just an example how those clip charts don't work, because you're shaming those children into doing what you want them to do. They're shutting down, and you're shaming them into it. Okay, in your packet, in the back of your packet, you should have a bingo card. And what I want you to do with this bingo card, this is another kind of icebreaker, moving around, getting our brain to work. We're going to go around and you're going to ask people to initial